It took America nearly 2 years to announce an official investigation into our defeated right-wing former president. But in Brazil, they've done it in less than a week. My neck hurts. Does your neck hurt? If not, it probably will at the end of this video. You all will have whiplash because the Supreme Court in Brazil is moving so fast. They are not screwing around when it comes to addressing the January 8th, 2023 insurrection, which happened in the capital, Brasilia, when thousands of supporters of the right-wing defeated former president, Jair Bolsonaro, their Donald Trump, attacked 3 government buildings in protest for the fact that their guy lost. And the biggest piece of evidence for that fact, that they are taking this very seriously and they are moving with breathtaking speed, is the fact that they've officially announced an investigation into Jair Bolsonaro, the defeated right-wing former president. This would be, and they've done it in under a week, to be clear. They've done it less than a week after the riot occurred. This would be the equivalent of the American government announcing that they were investigating Donald Trump on January 13th, 2021. Okay? So as Axios reports, Brazil's Supreme Court to investigate Bolsonaro over Capitol riot. Brazil's Supreme Court late Friday said it will investigate whether former President Jair Bolsonaro incited Sunday's attack on Congress and other government buildings in the capital, Brasilia, which includes the president's residence and the Supreme Court building. The Prosecutor General's office requested that Bolsonaro, who's currently in the U.S., specifically Florida, along with, again, our right-wing defeated former president, be included in the investigation, citing a video that Bolsonaro shared on Facebook 2 days after the attack, according to the Associated Press. Of course, it would be social media, right? That would be the predicate for an investigation. For Donald Trump, it was Twitter. For Bolsonaro, it seems to be Facebook. So does Viktor Orban use Instagram? Is he an Instagram model or something? It's just interesting how it seems to be like a recurring trend that these authoritarian right-wing leaders really hew closely to social media. The video falsely claimed that President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, the leftist who defeated Bolsonaro I think it was in November or October of last year, but the video falsely claims that election was fraudulent. Does that sound familiar? Probably should. That's the Trump playbook. Prosecutors argued that because the post, which has since been deleted, could have the power to incite new acts of civil insurgency, Bolsonaro's actions before the attack should be investigated as well. Public figures who continue to cowardly conspire against democracy, trying to establish a state of exception, will be held accountable, Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes said in his decision authorizing the investigation. De Moraes added that Bolsonaro's repeated questioning of the country's electronic voting system ahead of last year's election may have contributed in a very relevant way to the occurrence of criminal and terrorist acts, according to the New York Times. So stop right there for a second. That is a perfectly valid case of deductive reasoning, right? It's not been proven, right? This is an investigation. It may very well be that once career prosecutors and investigators look at all the relevant facts, that they don't move forward to charge Bolsonaro with any particular crime. But of course, it is sensible to at least ask the question, like, hey, your repeated attempts at, questioning the integrity of the election system and making baseless allegations of voter fraud, which Bolsonaro did, just like Trump did in the 2020 presidential election against Joe Biden. Bolsonaro did essentially the same thing. He repeated Trump's playbook against Lula in 2022. And the Supreme Court is rightly saying, without any sort of, mental gymnastics, just, using basic deduction, going, yeah, that might have pissed off enough of your supporters to go riot, right? Just like on January 6th here in the United States. So, I mean, it's actually kind of sad that this basic act of deduction is something that we would celebrate, right? Because you would expect, certainly, any fair-minded person, any person of, with full command of their cognitive faculties. But the fact that we're seeing this from a high justice official in Brazil is actually really inspiring, that they would, just, I see two. It probably makes four. Maybe we should look into it. It's very inspiring. Anyway, the article says Frederick Wassef, Bolsonaro's lawyer, said in a statement following the Supreme Court's announcement that the former president vehemently repudiates the acts of vandalism and depredation of public property committed by those infiltrating the demonstration, according to the New York Times. Bolsonaro has never had any relationship with or participated in the spontaneous social movements carried out by the population. So again, we'll see what happens. Other interesting things that the article notes is that President Lula da Silva, Lula, has vowed to hold all those responsible for the attack accountable, which is, again, a really great, rhetorically aggressive statement to make, and hopefully it puts the fear of God into all those involved. It took President Biden months, if not years, to even get to remotely that point where he was willing to take that sort of aggressive rhetorical posture. But yeah, so this is really inspiring. This is great news. This is a robust, aggressive, proactive, expedient posture from, yes, the Brazilian government in general, right, including President Lula, but more specifically the Supreme Court. Like, this is just great, right? This is exactly how a vigorously pro-democratic state should respond. Now, again, there should be due process. And there's no indication that there won't be, right? There's no indication in the public statements or in these actions that, Bolsonaro or figures in other stories like the former Justice Minister Torres and the former Capitol Governor Rocha, that they won't or shouldn't get due process. They should, and hopefully they will. But the defense of democracy should be paramount. That should be the most important civic virtue. And you don't have to wait. You don't have to performatively just drag these things out. The fact of the matter is, sitting government officials, former government officials, both in the United States and in Brazil, they are supposed to be as much subordinate to the law as anybody else. And Brazil's actions here, the actions of the Brazilian Supreme Court, are much more commensurate with that value. Like their actions here, firing people who were, had responsibility for the riot or preventing the riot from happening, like their security official, investigating, the Bolsonaro-aligned federal governor, investigating Bolsonaro himself, announcing these things publicly, not waiting months and months and months and months and months. That is compliant with the value that nobody is above the law. And America should learn something from this. President Biden should look to this example. Attorney General Garland should look to this example and see that this was possible to do here in the States. This should have been done here in the States. Follow due process, yes, but take vigorous, active, expedient action when and where you can. So congrats to Brazil for taking this action. This is a story that I'm really interested in seeing develop. Again, the contrast is so profound. So we'll see where it goes. Hey, you! Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, and I hope that you did, please hit the like and subscribe buttons below. And if you absolutely hated the video, the best revenge for you is also to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. That'll teach me. If you want to share an opinion or share some feedback, go ahead and leave a comment, all right? 2023 is a year of change, hence the aggressive rebrand and commitment to new content. Inspired by my friends Luke Beasley and STV Philly, my personal goal for this channel is to hit 40,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So I'm hoping you'll do me a solid by spreading the word and the videos to potential fans and hate watchers alike. And in the meantime, we'll be pondering politics again with you very soon.